Go ahead and call the meeting of the August 5th, 2021 Capital Funding Protection Committee meeting to order. With that, I'd like a roll call, please.
Devin Reese is absent. Oscar Delgado, absent. Charlene Bybee.
Here.
Paul Anderson.
Here.
Bob Lucy is absent. Jean Herman. Justin Ivory.
Here.
Andrew Diss.
Here.
Elise Bonkowski, absent. Sophia Cardinal, absent. Dave Solero.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
All right, great. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 2, starting with public comments. I noticed that there's an ability for people to still provide emails. I did not see any emails in my inbox. Just want to double check that there are no public comments via email.
There is no public comment.
All right, and how about in person? Do we have any signed cards?
No cards.
All right, great. Moving on to item 2.02, an introduction and reappointment of members. So we have Andrew Diss, representing the gaming industry. Welcome back. All right. We've also got Justin Ivory, representing the construction industry. Welcome back as well there. And then we've got Elise Bonkowski as the general public representative, and I'm certain she's aware that she's back on this committee. So that's fantastic. Appreciate that. So those terms run from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. Moving on to item number 2.02 is a discussion and possible action to select a committee chair for the 2021-2022 committee year effective July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. Mr. Diss.
Mr. Chairman, if you're up for it, I think you do a good job of running our meetings and leading this committee, and I'd like to nominate Dave Solaro to continue as chairman.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from anyone else? Not seeing anyone. I will take that nomination. Thank you very much. So with that, go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, and I'll just stay right here then. Carry on. Item 2.03 is a discussion and possible action to select a committee vice chair for the 2021-2022 committee year effective July 1st, 2021, ending June 30th, 2022. So I'll leave that open for nominations. Not seeing any. I'll make a nomination for Justin Ivory to continue as vice chair of this committee.
I'll second that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Ivory, are you up for that?
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate
All right.
the offer.
Very good. With that, I'll take a call for the vote. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we'll move on to item 2.04, which is approval of the minutes for the June 3rd, 2021 Capital Funding Protection Committee meeting. Open for,
So moved.
all right, motion from Herman,
Second?
second from Diss.
Bybee, second. Oops, no.
Team's just a little too slow. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. And with that, we will move on to item 2.05, which is a presentation on the anticipated cadence and workload for the future meetings of the Capital Funding Protection Committee. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Searcy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is a standing item for information only. We like to keep the committee in tune with the anticipated topics and pace of the committee that we hope to tackle in upcoming months. So this is very similar to what we looked at last meeting. I'll briefly go through this. We've omitted the items on the agenda for here today, August. In our next meeting, every other month coming October, is scheduled possible informational item related to enrollment. That's something that we're all looking at very closely as we reopen full in-person learning. So that always influences our capital program, and that's something we are considering for really an update to this committee on. We'll have more or less a standing update item on Debbie Smith CTE. We, of course, have a significant update this evening, and may or may not have another update in October, but that's really the main project that we'll be working on for the remainder of this calendar year. And then possible action on Wrangler area elementary school regarding construction phase funding. That's a new elementary school in the DeMonte Ranch area that I've mentioned to this committee in past meetings, that we own the property, are prepared to move forward into construction should enrollment demand warrant, and as per recommendation from the superintendent. So we'll be analyzing the need, the enrollment demand, and our options in the coming months, and may bring that to the committee for consideration. That would require funding approval from the committee before we could go out to bid. So I don't want to imply that we're preparing to go forward with it, because it truly may not warrant immediate action. But at the same time, we like to bring actions such as this to the committee for information multiple times before asking for action. In this case, we may not be able to, but this is an elementary school of the exact same nature that we've bid and constructed multiple times now. So that's really just the early heads up. So moving forward into December, we'll have our annual calendar year evaluation report as required by the board policy governing this committee. We, depending on timing, October, December, may have an update or possible action regarding a new elementary school. And then again, a semi-standing item on Debbie Smith progress. Trying to project as far into the future as possible. We are looking more likely at the February 2022 meeting as being for possible action on the construction phase funding of Debbie Smith. This coincides with the desire to go into construction in summer 2022. So hopefully we've updated the committee sufficiently so that by February we're poised and everyone's comfortable moving forward with an allocation for construction phase funding. Likely in April, we'll be on the fiscal year cycle. We'll be talking about the next CIP and possible major projects update there as well, coming into the, or at that time nearing the August 2022 timeframe. We'll be preparing to possibly open the completed Swope, O'Brien, and Proctor Hug high schools at that time. So I threw a major projects update on at that time as well. But that 5-year CIP is sort of an annual thing. We'll likely see in the April 22 timeframe. And then again with standing annual items in June associated specifically with the next fiscal year, exactly the same as what we did here this past June. So it's just sort of a preview, heads up. Again, Debbie Smith CTE dominating the agenda for this next several months, with a couple of standing annual items, and then depending on demand, a possible new elementary school in the DeMonte Ranch area. So that's kind of the update and look ahead. If there's any questions or discussion, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Searcy on this look ahead? All right, not seeing any. Let's go ahead and move on to item, sorry, thank you, Mr. Searcy. Very informative thing. Moving forward. Let's move on to item 2.06, which is a presentation and update on the implementation and recommendations from the external audit of the Washoe County School District's Capital Improvement Program. So, Mr. Searcy, I'll let you kick it off.
Thanks. This is also for information, and it's driven primarily by the recommendation from the previous capital improvement program audit, wherein we accepted the recommendations and the implementation timeline of summer 2021. That was, nebulous intentionally, but out of an abundance of transparency, I've pushed for this to be an informational update, so as to ensure that no one believes that we neglected the completion of those acceptance milestones. So, you know, most of you were involved in this audit or to some degree or another. I won't go through the entire history of how it was completed, but really the key findings and the ultimate recommendations, I'm just tabbing through this as the executive summary of the final report, had to do with, I believe, opportunities for improvement associated with consistent and transparent updates related to the major projects that this committee approves the funding for, that we have strong project controls both during the bidding phases and the contract administration phases, and this committee has a strong role in advance of the construction phase. But during that construction phase, they felt, while not required or a true finding, that a recommendation for improvement might be to enhance some of the work that we're doing in that area. So there were two recommendations, and the first one, I'm going to turn it over to Samantha Fredrickson to kind of describe to the committee the steps that we've taken since this audit was approved by this committee, the audit committee, and the school board back in late 2020. Thank you.
Great. Samantha Fredrickson, Public Relations Specialist, and I focus my communications work on capital projects. So the first recommendation was very communications oriented because it was to recommend that we prepare and publish a quarterly dashboard or report for the public that features specific financial information. And so we had already started doing a little bit of this. We started publishing our quarterly reports in the summer of 2020. And at that time, the reports were mostly narratives about the project status, a picture, not a lot of financial information at that point. And then in fall of 2020, we expanded on to those quarterly reports, and we added the capital renewal quarterly report featuring our capital renewal projects. That was still at that time mostly narrative descriptions of what was going on with the projects. So in direct response to this audit recommendation, starting in spring of 2021, we began to publish more specific information about the finances for both the construction, the new builds, and also for the capital renewals. And so we've now done 2 cycles of those reports, which I think you should have as part of your attachments. And I think we send these to you as well when we publish them. So now, as you can see, they have much more financial information. So we've added both on the specific project pages, the construction budget, if there's any change orders, how much has been paid to date, and the percentage that the project is complete. And then we've added at the very end on our capital renewals, you'll see we have the capital renewal program update. Oh, good, you're showing it on the screen. So we have still a little bit of a narrative kind of describing, and then on the next couple of pages, we go through and we list out, these are all of the current construction projects that are over $100,000. So we're listing out that specific financial information that was requested by the auditor. And each report is really following a standard template, so they look the same from quarter to quarter. So, over time, the public will be able to look back at these and see a chronicle of our expenditures. And so to share these, we've been sending them we send them, of course, to you all on the committee. We share them with the Board of Trustees. We publish them on our buildings website. And we also have an opt-in, an email opt-in, so any member of the public who wants to receive this type of information can sign up for those emails, and they'll get just 1 email a quarter from us with this information updating them on the projects. And then all of these are, of course, posted on the website as well, so people can view them going back to when we started in summer 2020.
Thanks, Sam. So I don't know if there's any questions or discussion on that one.
Yeah, are there any questions on this one? Go ahead.
So on the conclusion page 32 of the audit, the second to last bullet point points out that it would be a good idea to have a single place to review the status of projects compared to actual against the proposals. So have we taken that suggestion and included that on the website now, or what's going on with that.
So I think the standard place where that is there's a section on the website for all the quarterly reports, and these are published in entirety, so people can look at those and they can see that budget information that shows, you know, what the bid was, what we've spent so far, kind of all those details.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other questions? I'm not seeing it. I do have one. Just curious, as these are posted on the website, do you have a way to see how many people are actually viewing this document? Just trying to make sure it's worthwhile for the public
I
out there.
don't think that we do really track that, and it would be a download, so
Okay, I'm just
who
curious.
knows? Yeah.
So the second recommendation stemming from this audit had to do with similar consistency and formatting of recommendations on future major project allocations. I'm trying to scroll ahead to that recommendation. Here we are. Consider standardizing formatting and information included in major project proposals to the Capital Funding Protection Committee, including such as square footage, cost per square foot, original comparisons to high-level project budgets, et cetera. So, you know, while that is something we have strived to do in the past, to the greatest extent possible, creating a standardized way of presenting the reasonableness of the cost budget proposals to the committee makes good sense to us as well. However, since this was completed, we have not yet had an opportunity to make such a proposal to the Capital Funding Protection Committee. So I wanted to acknowledge this and readdress our intent to bring forward cost comparisons in this format and other additional data points on future major project budget proposals, such the likes of which we just talked about in our last agenda item. So really, it was only those two recommendations that came from the audit. The one we've significantly addressed to date and will continue to enhance our effort there. The other one we fully intend to, just have not yet had an opportunity to do so. Any questions on this one in particular?
Doesn't look like it. Thanks.
Okay. And then lastly, I wanted to turn the floor over to our Chief Internal Auditor, Kirk Starkey, for a little bit more on the procedural side associated with this audit.
Well, good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. Kirk Starkey for the record. Like Adam said, I wanted to provide you a quick summary, basically of the administrative process that will be related to the audit follow-up and what you can expect with this moving forward. First, our office will plan to perform an annual follow-up of the implementation status of the two recommendations. We'll start that around December of this year, and basically what this means is we'll be just determining where capital improvement is with the audit recommendations, as far as are they fully implemented, are they partially there, and if it's not fully, what is an anticipated full implementation date. And after we complete that work, we will report the results to the audit committee around February 2022. And then immediately following that, we'll make a similar presentation to your committee, and then also it'll go to the Board of Trustees as well. But please also note that if any of the recommendations are not fully implemented at the time of that review, we'll continue to perform annual follow-ups until they're implemented and fully, so they don't fall away, that we'll make sure they're implemented. Basically, that concludes my comments. It was just kind of to give you an overview of what'll be coming. I hope it provides some context, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Mr. Starkey? Member
Chair.
Member Ivory.
I don't know if you can see
thank you.
it or not.
I've got you, Member Bybee.
On procedure 6, so just a little background. I wasn't here on the committee when this was first requested, so I may have missed kind of like
No worries.
what was asked of, what, you know, so if you could just bring me up to speed. On item 6, the procedure 6, you guys go into pretty great detail about how we select contractors by using, like, typically it would be under $100,000 threshold. We have a $85,000. You have a really pretty good general understanding of all these items. We got CMAR, capital projects, subcontractors. And I thought it was kind of interesting that you went as deep as subcontractors and kind of noted that subcontractors are really beyond the Washoe County School District reach because their contract is with the contractor. So I guess my question would become, how come we didn't include professional groups, architects, engineers, and construction managers, along with the scheduling companies that we contract with? I'm just wondering why we went so in-depth here, but we didn't include those items.
Kirk Starkey for the record. The audit, just for a little background, the audit was performed by an outside third-party firm called Protiviti instead of our office. That was at the direction of, basically, we were asked, talking to the audit committee, the capital funding, and the board itself. And then when we met with the third party, when it went out to bid, we had an array of procedures we wanted done from input from the community, from a member of each of the committees and the board. I think that item was probably addressed in another procedure, I believe. Which one? Because they did a truckload. I hope it should be in a different procedure because they went up one side and down the other of the whole process to make sure everything was addressed from start to finish. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't believe it would have been that it was overlooked or not addressed, because, and part of it was they were very satisfied with when it goes out for bid that it was going, it was publicly bid and it wasn't just, selecting hand-picked projects that or providers that they wanted, that everything was out for bid and it was all public. I don't know if I'm answering you very well, but I do believe those auditors, that third party.
Would it be in the paperwork that we were given?
Yes, sir. Can I go through it and get it back
Absolutely,
to you?
because if I'm missing it, I would love for somebody to point that out to me, but I went through it pretty thorough and I
Okay.
didn't see, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I didn't see anything in regards to selecting an architect, engineer, construction manager, or any other professional services that we pay for, that we have direct payment from the owner of
Gotcha.
Washoe County to the company. So
No worries. I will get back to you, promise.
perfect, thank you.
You got it.
Any other questions, Member Ivory?
No, I don't.
All right. I believe Ms. Bybee had a question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think these two recommendations are great. I think the formatting and kind of setting things up, so I think will be easier. On the second one, by consistency in how things are formatted, will be easier for us as we review it, but it'll also make it easier for outside parties and the public, because they're used to seeing it. If it looks the same, excuse me, and that just will make for ease on all parts, because there's so much information that we're trying to share. So that formatting piece is really, I think, going to make some improvements for us and for the public. And on the public side, the first part of your quarterly reports that you're putting out, and I agree, when a lot of it is narrative. I mean, how many people? There's some who will sit down and read every paragraph, and but a lot of people, press for time or want, the visuals I like, and I think a lot of it has important information that between graphics and visuals and bullet points of the most important things, and that it all looks the same so people can come back and do the comparisons. And can we, is there a way with the social media outreach of the district that on the social media they could do, hey, our quarterly report is out, interested in what's going on with capital funding or with our projects, check out, and then link them in, or check out our website, or just giving them a heads up of when those things are reported, so that that also shows the transparency we're trying to continue for the public and to the, for everyone, but maybe social media can help us just give people a heads up to go look without having to give them all the info, tell them where to go, and then it's out. Kind of newsflash type thing. So that was all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Any other questions on this item? Seeing none, thank you all very much for the update on this. And Mr. Stark, if you wouldn't mind just getting back on that,
Definitely.
that question.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 2.07, presentation and update on active major projects, including Michael Inskeep Elementary School, Darrell Swope Middle School, William O'Brien Middle School, and Proctor Hug High School. I'll turn it over to Mr. Searcy.
Thanks. I'm going to change my shared window here for a second.
So they can hear you, need to select the sound too for the video. Sorry.
All right. Bear with me, everyone viewing from home. So this was another informational item that was requested. I believe this might be the one. Sorry about this. John, any secret tips here? I want to share this PowerPoint. This was an informational item that was requested specifically on the 4 major active major projects that are under construction as we speak. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, sorry about that. Come on. And the 4 we're talking about are Inskeep Elementary, the expansion and renovation of Swope Middle School, the reconstruction of O'Brien Middle School, and the construction of the new Proctor Hug High School. And so this is a graphic that this committee and the public have seen before multiple times that includes a whole host of projects, but really zooming in on these 4 projects, you can see those lined up really where we are today on this time scale. And then we're going to hear a little bit more about, quite a bit more about Debbie Smith CTE later on the agenda today. So focusing on these 4, we're going to start off with Michael Inskeep Elementary School. And you can see I intentionally tried to take that snapshot from the quarterly update regarding the construction financial performance information that we're sharing with the public. This one, if you're not familiar with it specifically, this is a photo taken just a couple of weeks ago. It is completed. The construction has been completed. This is on the far end of North Cold Springs, so way up there, but really excited to relieve the overcrowding and address the growth up in that community. From a construction standpoint, I'm extremely pleased to share that this one has been the best yet for us. There's always room for improvement, and we continue to strive for even more excellence. But this is the 3rd elementary school that we will have opened since WC1 passed of this exact same design. And this one, from a construction standpoint, went the smoothest. This was a hard bid, design bid build project, as indicated here, won by Q&D Construction, and they delivered exceptionally successfully from a scope, schedule, and budget and quality standpoint. Just a few pictures of the interior, spectacular. Member Dis was able to join us on Tuesday morning for this ribbon cutting ceremony, and what you don't see in this picture are the dozens and dozens and dozens of families and children on the other side of the camera. It was really special to be able to experience that for that community before the first day of school. The other ribbon cutting ceremonies that we've held were after the first day of school, which is special, but this one you could really feel the enthusiasm towards being a part of that school community, and that's really what it's all about. So pleased to provide a very positive update on the status of Michael Inskeep Elementary School. Any questions on that one? Just going to forge ahead next to Swope Middle School. So this is the expansion and renovation of Swope Middle School, as we've talked about many times here before, has been fully awarded on 3 separate construction contracts. This is a CMAR project with United Construction. We've been under construction for over a year now, and the image you see here was taken also just weeks ago. You can see the near completion of the second phase, or the second construction contract to construct the new gym. On the back side of the property, you can see all that nice green grass. That's a completely new turf play field to make room for the new gym. The new gym replaces the old gym, which will then make room for the construction of a new 2-story classroom wing. Simultaneously inside the school, many mechanical and HVAC improvements throughout the building, some minor adjustments to some of the music and lunchroom areas, and then the biggest change that the students and staff will see inside that building is actually in the flooring was removed. So we're going to put back finished flooring, but for right now, this school year, largely bare concrete in the hallways, things like that. So it's a very active construction site. It's going well, but this one has proven to be quite a handful. We've got a tremendous principal, a wonderful school community. We're continue to be excited to engage those students as a part of the project. Between the contractor, the architect team, our own in-house staff, really having to wrangle this one, but that's to be expected with a project in an existing active facility. And we're on pace here for an opening in August 22 that would allow for those 6th graders to come up to middle school, creating a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade environment, relieving the feeder elementary schools, and then just of note, some trailing construction scope outside of that critical path that will need to be completed after that first day of school 2022. Just some new images. You can see this front. This is the new gym up in the upper left-hand corner. Several weeks ago, I've nearly got that finished for the start of school. You can see an aerial image also from a couple of weeks ago of the front. Here of note is the large new entry vestibule that it's not done, it will be branded with more prominent architecture, but it's really quite an improvement from what was there. And then if I could, just for 30 seconds, everybody loves some time-lapse demolition footage. That's the gym where some of the best basketball players from Reno High learned how to shoot free throws in 30 seconds or less, gone forever. Noteworthy, because this is inside that central courtyard. If you look at the front view, you can barely see the 20-foot needle they had to thread with those trucks. You got to build the new gym first before you can tear down the old gym, but meanwhile they pretty near boxed themselves in. They got it done in about 30 seconds. Whoop. Let's see if I can get off of this slide. Any questions or comments on Swope?
Go ahead.
What are some of the issues you alluded to, Mrs. Searcy? Is it labor shortage with the contractor, trouble meeting timelines, or what is it?
So there's been a handful of unforeseens that are to be expected to some degree with a major renovation of a 60-year-old existing facility. So we have struggled with unforeseen mechanical issues, underground issues, things of that nature. We have also less on the labor shortage, more on the supply chain material shortage, particularly actually in the structural steel area. Had to change the design. It did not significantly impact the schedule, but it's a lot of little things that add up. The structural steel supply chain issue has been a big deal. We have had some, I would call it, bad fortune related to personnel. People change jobs over the course of a long period, and sometimes that's just business, but you lose a key team member here and there, and that hurts a project. So all of those factors, just coupled with the inherent sort of logistical complexities of the project, has really pushed us to the limits of what we're able to bring to bear on this project. And, I remain confident that we're going to achieve success here, but I felt like I needed to be honest without implying anything to the contrary. This one's a tough one, and we're wrestling it down to the wire, keeping it on track, and I'll let you know if that changes, but it's been an adventure. And I'd be remiss without noting the principal and that school community really, I don't want to say rolling with it, but embracing the experience. This is a construction site in their school. We're trying to make it special for them, and they're being a great partner as well on this construction site.
Go ahead, Member Avery.
Thank you. I don't know if this is appropriate time to bring it up or not, but Swope is a perfect example of kind of going in and really not just putting, lipstick on a pig here. I mean, this is going to be a brand new school in an old neighborhood. And my question would be, at the October meeting, I know with Wrangler, we're going to be talking about enrollment and stuff. Is there an opportunity if the enrollment isn't there and Wrangler isn't needed, is there an opportunity to maybe start opening up the conversation about more of these in town with existing older elementary schools and existing older middle schools? Obviously, if the enrollment needs aren't there, it seems to me like we maybe need to change direction a little bit and start revitalizing, given the kids that are going to the older schools in this town, a look at what all the people that are buying new houses kind of get to go to school too.
Absolutely. I appreciate the question. Equity from a facilities standpoint is extremely important, and it was important during the origins of the WC1 program in 2015, 2016. There was literally a line item in that program of projects titled Core School Investments, and in the last 5-year CIP that this committee approved, there were significant dollars associated with general line items titled Core School Investments for elementary, middle, and high schools. Those projects have not yet been identified, but it is an obvious extrapolation here. We've got 3 other middle schools of this same design type throughout Reno-Sparks. We've got 1 other middle school of the same design type as O'Brien throughout Reno-Sparks as well. And of course, many, many other schools in our district that are 50 plus years old. And so to your point regarding enrollment, that is not only something we'll be monitoring closely for, hey, where do we have overcrowding and additional facility demands, but what we might most appropriately do with the resources we have. We've presented to this committee updates regularly on financial revenues, both property tax and sales tax, et cetera, and those remain very strong for our school district. So there are opportunities in front of us, and we look forward to exploring those and using those resources to the betterment of our students. Okay, anything else on Swope? All right, a little bit on O'Brien Middle School. This one, if you look off to the, would it be the north as you're on the freeway right there, you can see the 3-story steel structure now rising up to the horizon. This is an aerial taken literally yesterday. You can see all 3 floors have been erected. They're still actively in progress. A lot of work taking place, but I really like this shot because it shows the proximity between the new school, the neighborhood, and the existing school. The kids' eyes are just gonna come out of their heads when they come back to school next week and see how much progress this team has made over the course of the summer. So you're likely familiar with the scope of this project, but this summer, while the school traffic was off-site, we made a variety of off-site improvements that needed to shut down access points and things like that. We got that done, and we'll be able to reopen all the access points as needed for the school to return in session fully starting next week. We're tentatively shooting for a little bit of a ceremony, topping out ceremony the week of August 16th. So that's pretty exciting. Hoping to choreograph something similar to what we did at Proctor Hug, where we're able to place the beam sort of out front for the school kids to participate in safely at their convenience, and then on the day of, take it onto the job site and celebrate with the team. This one, again, is an August 2022 opening. Summer 2022, the kids will get out for summer. We will conduct abatement and demolition on the existing school, and when they come back in August, that work won't yet be completed, but the new school will be in operation, and they will return 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at that time into the new building. This project's going very well from a scope, schedule, budget, quality standpoint. Very pleased to report. It's a fast-paced, challenging project, no doubt, but we have not suffered significant curveballs, knock on wood, to date, and really just excited about the momentum that the team has out there. Some more spectacular aerial images of the steel erection and all the masonry work. These are just taken yesterday from the site. And then I took this snapshot from the groundbreaking ceremony, as it was, I believe, in June only ago. You can see the background, very little vertical at that time, but really the point of this picture was to have those kids there and to talk a little bit, again, to nod to their role in this project and our efforts to try and engage them to a degree on the STEM aspects, the skilled trades work that's taking place right there in their backyard, and make it an experience for them rather than a hardship. So we're really excited to bring that construction project into their classroom this coming school year. But project overall is going extremely well up there. So any questions or comments on O'Brien Middle School? All right, so we'll round it off just with an update on the new Proctor Hug High School. And I chose this aerial to illustrate some of the most noteworthy work that's taken place over the course of this last summer, or this summer. Sullivan, you can see on the left of this screen, nearest the school campus, and then El Rancho is on the right. In the background, you can see would be the southernmost entry roundabout. There's 2 roundabouts on Sullivan that we've constructed, completely reconstructing that roadway, the pavement, sidewalk on both sides, 2 access points to and from the campus, and then the new roundabout at the intersection of Sullivan and El Rancho, which will dramatically improve safety at that location as well. So when we talk about mitigating the impacts of the inclusion of a new high school at this location, this is really what we're talking about. From a construction standpoint, again, scope, schedule, and budget, very, very pleased to provide an update as to the success of the team. The progress, the schedule, the quality, the attitude of the team, top to bottom out there, is really positive. As the building starts to come into shape, people can see it. The enthusiasm across the community is growing and is only going to continue to grow. So that's been exciting. I note on this slide the extensive turf and landscaping installation that's anticipated before winter. You know, when they see pavement go down, when you see steel erection, big visceral milestones like that, I think when we see acres and acres of green grass and hundreds of new trees being planted out there in just the next several months, it will really pop some eyeballs just that much more. And we are very much on pace for an on-time opening in August 2022. I'm sure somebody on the team has a by-day calendar countdown, because we're basically inside of a year on this one and in good shape to achieve success there. And then this is my last slide on HUG. We were visited by the Governor Sisolak just last week. A couple of photos of our team leaders taking him on a tour. They were very complimentary as to his level of engagement and interest and just presence on the project. And then I take a screenshot of one of his tweets. He had many complimentary tweets of appreciation regarding the tour, but he took the photo of the superintendent's hard hat there, and I included this not to make any sort of a statement or anything like that, but really to compliment and praise the construction teams that have persevered on these projects through all manner of wildfire smoke and COVID PPE related matters that we've all had to endure, but to keep these multi-million-dollar projects running on schedule throughout the pandemic is noteworthy, and we appreciate all the partners that have helped us persevere in that area. Any questions on Wild Creek or Proctor HUG project?
Member Dis?
Not on that. I just wanted to go back to Inskeep, and no questions, just want to make some comments. I went out there on Tuesday for the opening, and as Mr. Searcy said, seeing those families out there was the highlight. All those kids. I spoke with the new lunchroom attendant there and a couple of the teachers, and from what they were telling me, they live in that area up in Cold Springs, and that's why they wanted to transfer and start working at that new school. And you could just see a lot of pride on their faces that they were coming to work at one of the new buildings and the way it turned out. So I just wanted to applaud your team, Mr. Searcy, and the whole district for getting that project completed on time and on budget. Kudos to Q&D, and seeing Dr. McNeil talk to those kids in that lunchroom that day. I think she's been hanging around Dr. Taylor a lot because she had a lot of fire and energy to her that day, as Dr. Taylor always has. So it was a good day. It was a great event, and I can't wait till next August when we got 3 new schools that are all going to be opening, and hope to see all those families out there for that too. So nice job.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
This is Paul Anderson, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to compliment Adam and the team. I'll tell you what, it's what I think is cool is that you look at these schools that we just talked about. So we've got brand new, ground up. We're redoing others like Swope, and then where it works best and it's most cost effective and best for the students is a hybrid, where you're taking down the old school and build another one behind it. And to me, it goes to show the level of the team that's working on this to decide what is best for our community. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt, having a construction background as well with project management and really knowing what it takes to put some of these things together. This team is doing really good things for our community, so I really appreciate that. Also appreciate you pointing out all the good basketball players that came out of Swope Middle School. I happen to be the guy that's dreams were crushed in that in that gym. I learned that I was not a basketball player, so.
I think the wrestlers went to Clayton mostly.
You have anything else on this update, Mr. Searcy?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Seeing no other questions on this item, let's move on to item 2.08, which is the presentation and discussion on the current project schedule and budgeted costs associated with the future Debbie Smith Career and Technology Education Academy. With that, Mr. Searcy, Ms. Zimmerman.
Okay, I'm going to get this teed up and then hand the reins entirely over to Ms. Zimmerman. Bear with me on the screen share for a second. So we've got the presentation here, and this guy over here, which may require a screen share revision.
Okay. I think I can do that.
You can see me struggling with my screen share revisions.
If I need help, I'll call you. I'll phone my friend. All right.
There we are.
So for the record, Tammy Zimmerman, Deputy Chief Facilities Management Officer, to bring you an update on the CTE Academy, Debbie Smith High School at the existing Proctor Hug campus. And so I want to kind of go through how we got to where we're at right now. And so a lot of people ask what the programs are at the school. And so they're listed here. Culinary arts, we're keeping those in the IA building because we did a big renovation of that building and it seems prudent to keep those. Engineering and robotics with computer manufacturing and a robotics course and that in the building. We have a marketing academy. Really excited about the medical career academy, the practical nursing to help and kind of partner with TMCC so we can feed those students into there. We have the natural resource, which we have the veterinary science and the ornamental horticulture and greenhouse management at AACT, and that'll be moving up here to this campus because they've outgrown their space over there. Looking at a production greenhouse with that and a full veterinary science lab and hoping to partner with the university that's a little closer down the street to do some of those things. The other one that I'm really excited about is the skilled trades, the construction technology and the welding, because there are a lot of kids that love those. And currently they go to TMCC across the street from AACT, and we just fill that program and we need more welding booths and the availability for them. So, and then with that, we're talking about teacher training at the elementary level, K through 5 up there, so that we can create and home grow some of our own teachers, which would really help us out opening schools. That's a math class that you learn how to shuffle the cards with that. So, and I actually have a teacher who teaches with cards to do that. So I think you know who he is. With that though too, we have those academies on there, but we're also putting a new boardroom up there so that we can have a bigger space, new technology in there, and not have as many overflow rooms when we have board meetings. So the building is more like a tri-level, and so the top level is the administration, and it has a boardroom planned in there. And the idea is that the boardroom be used dual with the CTE school as well for their presentations, speakers. They do a lot of entrepreneurial speaking to their students to go through all their projects. Oh, where'd it go? There it goes. Goes back and forth. So this is what HUG looks like currently. It's going to look a lot different when we're done. We started conceptual design right after we did the educational specifications, and we came up with, like we've done at Swope, we're going to demo some buildings. It's what makes sense for the project. So we're going to demo the admin, the B building. The center portion is going to come out, and the existing cafeteria. And in the middle of that, we're going to put a new building that's the tri-level building. And then we moved into the conceptual for that building, which you guys have probably seen before. It's got the boardroom at the top, and it kind of transfers down the hill. We've got 40 feet of difference of elevation across there, so that was our conceptual to make that work. Then we moved into schematic design in early of 2021, and so this is our aerial view of parking and buildings. The parking is going to look a little bit different, a little bit of an artistic architecture feature with the parking and the new buildings that'll be on there. We've got we changed the names of the building, which kind of threw the architects a little bit, trying to make sense with our school police and how we number buildings. But building A is now the main building in the center. Building B is over on the east side, and that will become, once we're done, the RISE building, and that's for our adult education. So hoping that some of our adult education classes partake of some of the skilled trades in that building as well. So they're currently over on Cordone, across from Vaughan, and we're going to move them over here and be able to have one campus that they can use all the amenities as well. So it's kind of a twofer. We're going to get out of a lease space over there and provide them a space that's dedicated to them and some other amenities that they can use as well. And this is our 3D schematic design that we have, that we came up with, and you'll get to see a little bit more of this at the end, but it looks, the schematic looked really cool to us. We thought it was a great product for that campus and that site. And this is the main building and keeping all those existing buildings in there. So now we finished schematic in June, so now we're in DD phase. And now we're getting to the nuts and bolts and fit and finishes and all of that. We've settled on a floor plan and a square footage size on everything. And so wanted to kind of go over the schedule for it. We'll finish our schematic, or our design development, in October of 2021. We'll be starting to do an estimate about then, and that's why I'll get to come back to you guys and talk to you about where we are with estimate and where we are with the DD and some more amenity discussions. February of 2022, we are to complete the construction drawings so that we're ready to come to you guys in February for the final allotment of funds for that project. And then in June of 2022, demo begins, abatement and demo on the site. And we spent a little bit of time last week with Q&D and the architect out there talking about demo. And it's going to be, Tony wants to implode the buildings, but we won't get to do that. It'll be fun when we can see some of those buildings go away and new stuff start to come out of the ground. August of 2022, we'll start remodeling the existing buildings. So the RISE building stays, that B building, the IA building stays, and the gym building stays. And we're going to have to go in and we're going to take them down to the bones and bring them back because that's the right thing to do with those. They've outlived their life with their materials. So then in August of 2023, we'll open to the Academies. Josh Hartzog in the CTE department is working on getting all of those students applied for and getting them excited about the new building. And hopefully when we release what we're going to see at the end to everybody, we'll have a lot of applicants. Then in early of 2024, we'll finish the new building that's in the middle. We can make do with the Academies until that time. And then the RISE people will move over to the new build for them because I need their classrooms in order for the Academies to happen that first year. And that's that. So let's pull up the next portion of it, which is our typical fly-through that we have for our new buildings. So a lot of this we went through already, so you'll get to see it again just to kind of orient you. This is from the north looking down from McCarran onto the campus. I'm going around to the east. There's the plaza and the IA building, and you can see the buses with the new building sitting there in the middle. And now we're going to go to the front door, and imagine on the left-hand side is the boardroom and the admin space. But we wanted to show the academies and the academic spaces. So pitch pit, where they can present their ideas, down to what we call the mid-level, which has the academies on it, the classrooms. see if we can. We played it before, it all worked. I don't want it to start over though.
That is strange.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get past that point. I don't think it likes the sharing portion of it.
Maybe try
It'll be sent out. So I did just unshare it, so let's see if we can get through. No, it doesn't like it. But we can send it to you. It's really, I mean, it goes further down into the end to the south. It's got some beautiful views to the south. We've got some windows out there. The media center sits out there. It'll come back and it goes down into the lower level, which is the cafeteria. It has the engineering and robotics down there, as well as nursing. It shows the beds. And this, because it's a CTE, it has such specialized equipment to it that it's really cool to see those special pieces of equipment. It's got a covered portion for the outdoor seating for cafeteria, and then it shows the greenhouse area and the plaza a little bit. And then we go into some of the existing buildings and show you what they look like and then what they would look like. It also has the small gym where we're going to put the skilled trades. It shows a before and an after, and to see the change in that and that it's going to be used is tremendous. But yes, we'll post it and then we'll send you a copy of it. It is a large file. So, and I'd be remiss to not mention that Ben Wirt-Bogoti did the fly-through for us, and Angela Bogoti and Brad Ben Wirt are here, and I know their crew worked tirelessly on it. They're a great partner in this endeavor with the design, as well as we have Mike Brunkow with us from Q&D, and Chris Abrahamson is our estimator, and we have a lot of faith in those guys. I mean, they've done Inskeep, Pulikitas for us, and so we're super excited to have them on the team, and we've made huge strides, and we're on schedule, and we'll get there. Spaghetti. It's
boy,
so
oh boy,
good,
it's so
though.
frustrating. Really, some of those, these are so powerful to see the design brought to life like this. Some of the spaces they're able to create, outdoor learning spaces, I'm really excited for. And at the very end of this video, if we can get there, it shows some before and after renderings, really, of the existing spaces rather than the new build fly-through like this.
Library Commons, and then we'll go down to the lower pitch bit like I talked about, and it's got the cafeteria and the collaboration spaces. But those views out those windows where you can sit and eat, and it's a covered portion, would be awesome. We don't have that in a lot of our memberships. So. Scales, and they go through all of that. north from the bus drop-off into the space so they can get into the building from that bus drop-off with the outdoor space, learning areas, teaching areas. And there's the greenhouse, possible orchard, and the K-5.
That's taking it down to the bones, completely revising the floor. So this is the small gym.
And then comes the construction, skill training, welding. This is only half of it. The other half is the welding. Any questions?
For the culinary, is there going to be a big, like, kitchen?
So the kitchen is already existing there, and we're going to utilize that with a minimal remodel to it, and then hoping to put an outdoor space so they could have patio seating outside of it. Because it's very much like AACT where they prepare the meals and they have a schedule, and you can come in and pay to actually be served a meal there.
All right, Mr. Ivory.
I think I just misunderstood, but you said Building B is where you're, that's the new building in the northeast corner. That's where, did you say Rise?
Rise Academy,
Rise
which is our
Academy.
adult education program in the district.
So, this is awfully small, but it looks like, is Building D then the existing gymnasium?
Correct.
And so I understand you're taking the small gymnasium, doing the construction trades and welding. The full gym, or the large gymnasium, I guess, that stays as a gymnasium?
That remains as a gymnasium with the lockers that you'd need for athletics, because the idea is that AACT and Debbie Smith would combine to create an athletics for those schools together.
Perfect. So AACT no longer goes to the school you're zoned for. Both would go to this school and perform sports.
As long as that's an NIAA question too, but as long as that they offer that sport, because you can't, at a small school with minimal enrollment, if you go down in size, you can't offer all the sports because you can't recruit for them. So they most likely won't have football or baseball or softball, but they have to have a certain amount. And so we'll work with the NIAA and our athletic director, Roland Stallworth, to coordinate all of those. But the idea is that they go there and play athletics there, if they have that athletic.
And I believe if I saw in the flyover, you're still building a baseball field and a softball field, is that correct? Or are you just leaving the existing ones there, or are you just?
The existing ones would remain and they would become practice fields, because we know at our school sites that don't have a lot of acreage, they need practice fields in order to rotate so that they can maintain that turf. So they would become, the baseball field would become their soccer field, which we'd already designed that when we redid the baseball field up there to fit on there. And we would take the fence down and do some of those things. The softball field will take the fence down, the backstops, and that'll end up being a practice field. The football field will remain because they can still play soccer on it or practice on it, lacrosse and those kind of things, but there most likely would not be football.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation. Look forward to good things happening at that campus. All right, that takes us to item 3, which is public comment. Is there any public comment today?
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much. Next meeting will be September 30th, 2021. I'm assuming that it's going to be here. Is that right?
That's definitely the intent, and I just wanted to highlight for the record that September 30th is 1 week prior to our normally scheduled first Thursday of every even-numbered month because of the school district's fall break period. So we'll make sure that your calendars are updated accordingly, but if it's the pleasure of the committee, we'd prefer to accelerate to September 30th.
All right, thanks.
But
Alan.
otherwise, it should be same format. Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right, and with that, take a motion to adjourn. Got a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all, everybody.
Aye. Thank you.